Welcome back to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And I'm thinking we're going to do our meditation and build on it. Uh, so I've been continuing our basic meditation of creating the cube, like the white room, then creating the portal with the circle or the triangle, and contacting higher beings. And I've actually had some really good results. And also, I kind of like to work with the four elements. I noticed in some of the guided journeys I took myself on, I may have made a video of, I went to like a dry desert place. So that was like earth and air. And then spontaneously, I started doing like a water meditation with the three basic shapes. And in that one, I accessed the the tarot keys of the water suits. So like kind of like when it was all done, I had a very kind of like shamanic experience with the King of Cups. And it was really cool. Honestly, it was really cool. And then after that, a giant like spaceship within my mind's creative imagination. I will use that as a kind of like a disclaimer. Uh, a black, an upside down, inverted, four-sided black pyramid spaceship was like above my head. So that could have been like some type of Stargate. And so, yeah, I've been having some really good results. Each journey seems to be different, has different sets of challenges and things I'm supposed to experience. And then those things, sometimes I'm like, that's not where I wanted to go, or that's not how I wanted it to be. So then I don't realize I'm resisting. So when I surrender to it and go, okay, I guess we're in a water realm, and okay, I guess I can't stop that waterfall sound from happening, because I'm trying to do this or go here. When I relax and surrender it, uh, it becomes more real, and I end up having the experience I'm supposed to have. So I think sometimes our initial intention is like the trick. It's the carrot on the stick to get you started on the journey. But that inner guidance, higher guidance, that intuition, whatever you'd like to call it, wants to actually take you somewhere else. But it has to initially entice you with something that you want. But what it's going to give you is something greater. It's going to give you something that you actually need. So needs and wants get confusing, and it's really hard to know what you need because you don't have it. So your mind can't even understand and conceive what it truly wants. So keep that in mind, and that might help you with your journeys. Whoa, I bet this tea is super hot. Let me forgot. Let's put it in a cup. So, what you learn in basic, kind of like guided, visualized meditation is all the principles of magic and mysticism. And it helps you build a bridge between the dimensions so you don't have to do something elaborate like a spell. So you don't have to do something elaborate like a law of attraction or full-on astral projection. When you do like immersed five sensory guided visualization, you're training yourself to remote view, turn on your psychic abilities, and even to the extent move timelines and even bilocate. And who am I to tell you that? But someone who's done it. Okay? So, whether it was jumping timelines or bilocation, that's still a little bit unclear. But let's just say when I was younger, with a whole bunch of energy, you know, when you're younger and you have like a stronger sex drive and you just have more vitality and you're more open, you can do amazing things. So I lived a very, very magical lifestyle for years. So environment is also really important on what you can and cannot do. So as above, so below, as within, so without. For greater success, like the visualization I went on last night was really successful. It was late at night and the collective energy starts to calm down. You know, people are going to sleep, their avatars are tired, you know, their brains are worn out, they're eating, they're not hyper focused in beta brain activity. Uh, you know, so things are starting to wind down in the atmosphere. And being aware of the atmosphere, not just within the space you reside, but literally the atmosphere up in the sky, up in the city, a few feet above, you know, can be like a real dampener on your ability to astral project out in space, uh, to do a lot of things. So it's not so much that it's in between time, and it's not so much that it's a magical hour like the witch's hour. You know, it's that the majority of people aren't vibrating in like panic and stress mode and survival mode, and they're not, you know, so the energy kind of dies down and dissipates. And so you have easier access. The veil is thinner every night, every evening, every morning. From, I would say, probably from 10 all the way to 6 a.m., or even 7 or 8 a.m., you have a pretty big window to pierce the atmosphere. This is really important when you actually want to contact ETs that are like, or transcendent beings, like a real angel. Piercing, getting out of our earth magnetism, out of our earth density, out of the crab bucket. You know, we're surrounded by low vibrational people living average 3D lives. And, you know, that's just the environment, it's the climate, it's not a judgment call. But you as a singular individual or unit, you have the odds against you. So you have to be able to pierce that atmosphere. And it doesn't take a lot of effort. So a lot of problems is because you're over efforting it. You're getting too involved. So it's a balance of relaxation and a little effort. Oh my goodness. I'm seeing some astral anomalies in my face. Let's just help that other self out. Perfect. Okay. So, speaking of that, anytime you just close your eyes and visualize, anytime you, and it doesn't even have to be a good job. So, we don't have to worry about did I do this right? Or am I doing this right? Or we don't need to judge ourselves. Uh, just being focused softly, gently behind the eyes, or just focusing on something. So that could be reading a book. Uh, you start to concentrate your energy, and your third eye actually opens. Your third eye is a portal. For me, my third eye literally is behind my physical eyes at the center of my brain. And, you know, it's the size of a dime, can be expanded to the size of a silver dollar, and it doesn't really matter. Uh, it could be, it's a, it's a portal. It's a place where time and space, where the physical dimensions and the non-physical dimensions meet, mingle, intersect. It's like a wormhole. It's like a mini micro portal. It could actually be the size, of a micron. It could be 1 micron, but you may experience it larger. It doesn't matter. But the fact that you're focusing and concentrating gently, you're putting your awareness there, you're putting your attention there, you're going to get the results you need. So, the creative visualization part is how to navigate realms that have no substance. You know, it's just astral space, it's a plane of existence. Up and down, right and left don't actually exist. There's no navigate. I want to say like there's no dimension to it. There's no wherever you start, that could be anywhere in that universe. Your up could be down, down. So visualization helps you construct literally a way to navigate and experience that realm. It gives your mind the ability to grasp, work, and manipulate with it. Visualization is lower on the mental plane. It's closer to what we would call the physical plane because you're giving it dimension, you're giving it, height, width, and depth, you're giving it something to perceive, you're creating an image. So, thought form creation. When you, so it's a tool, but it also becomes your roadmap. It becomes a way, it's a roadmap in a very abstract way because it's symbolically lets you know where you're at in the planes. Uh, but then you can actually work with it to work within that plane. Uh, but it's also a language. So there's many aspects, many faces to what an image actually is, what it does, and how it notifies you what you can do with it. So it's really kind of cool. But it is generated at it's the mind and the matter, the form and the function coming together, creating an interactive experience. Uh, so now the flip opposite of it, you're moving in dimensions that are indescribable already, that are present here now. They actually can't be perceived through the physical senses. And usually there's a point where even your psychic senses can't perceive it. So it's like blank. It's like void. It's a blank page of paper. It's a clear mirror. It's a swimming pool, You're immersed in it. You don't feel that you're in it. You're a part of it and in it. So things dissolve, ways of navigating and understanding it dissolve. So you could actually be, so you really can't like perceive anything outside the three-dimensional plane that you're existing in. Your imagination helps you bridge it a little bit. You might go 3.5D, uh, and you might get a shadow. You might get a highlight of what an upper dimension could possibly be perceivable as. But you can't cognitively do it, no matter how cool your visuals are. Knowing this, you can relax. You're like, Onyx, I'm not seeing anything. And I'm telling you, that's okay, because it may be beyond perception. That's why you're not doing it wrong. That's why it's probably working. So you're like, everything just went blank. I don't know where I was for 20 minutes. I opened up my eyes. Did I just jump timelines? What? And I'm like, chill out. Relax. So if there's information in these other dimensions, it might take your higher mind, your intuition, your imagination, your subconscious, whatever you like to call all this, because it might take it a little time to reorganize that information, that vibration, that frequency, whatever you like to call it. These are all very abstract terms that almost mean nothing. They're all just concepts to us. But the actual experience happened. It might take some time to upload into your system for the mind in you to come up with the closest approximation of the experience that you had. It might come in the form of an energy wave 3 days later. Your dreams might all of a sudden be very intense, and they could have a theme to them, pointing to an insight that might dawn on you a month later. So every attempt at visualization, at meditation, at any magical thing that you do, or mystical thing, or spiritual thing that you do, always has a result. But we're usually blind to the success of it. The other reason why you don't have access to this information, 2 reasons. A lot of people want to go up and out on the hero's quest to go find the treasure, but once they get to the treasure, they don't know how to bring it back to the village. They don't know how to bring it back home. They didn't bring a huge sack to put the gold in, carry it on their back. That takes work to come back down the plains and integrate it. So as often as you journey, you should balance that with exercise, diet, getting back in your body, journaling, integrating new patterns of behavior, new vocabulary, new conversations. Journaling works as really well. Drawing what you experienced. This is a way to integrate it back. That's how you come back. You come back as a new version of you, an upgraded version. Your energy has changed. And then when you create art out of it, paint it, draw it, sculpt it, journal it, write a story, and speak about it, sing about it, make a craft about it. When you do that, it signals to that higher mind, I'm just going to call it that greater intelligence, that you liked it, and so then it wants to give you more. And it worked. The experiment was successful. The trip to the moon and back worked. So then you can plan another trip. And as you do this back and forth, you're linking threads, making it stronger and easier like a muscle. And then you have the option to go there, get what you need. The journey should be easier. The visions should be easier. Until it becomes easy and consistent in some way, I would stick with keeping it very basic, allowing yourself to have your detours, you know. Like I wanted to go to a desert planet, but instead I went to a water planet. Eventually, go back to your desert planet if that's what you started with, and that's what, you know, these basic shapes. I started with a square, but then it turned into a cube, you know, and I started always going to outer space, but now I'm not doing that. Maybe I'm staying here. It doesn't matter. Uh, just stick with something consistent in your process, in your formula, in your technique, some type of signature consistency. This allows the other entities to learn your language. So they have their language, they have their mind and dimension, probably a timeless, spaceless dimension. You have yours. And if there's some consistency, if they can always expect, a white cube, a green triangle, whatever it is, a glass like window, a magical carpet, whatever special, personal, interesting, stylized expressions you have within your journey, then from their dimension, they can see you. You might show up differently in their dimension, but it will be a consistent thing. So this is important since the differences between the translation of different languages. Thought forms as symbols, shapes, colors, sounds, all of it is actually a thought form. We're taking a mass amount of energy, vibrations, and frequencies, converting them into a certain set of patterns, converting them again to recognizable patterns that we can understand. Okay? On their end, they perceive that differently. So if I'm visualizing a cube of space, a cube floating out in space, on their end, they actually might see something that looks like a glowing cross, swirling. But on my end, it's always the cube that's solid. If I'm consistent with my symbol, then however they perceive it in their dimension, from their consciousness, from their point of view and their perspective, it will stay consistent. So that's kind of important. So throughout your journey, your story, your vocabulary, throughout all of this, and you take all these detours and there's no consistency, you're not going to show up on their radar. That symbol that they're looking for, that they recognize as your signature, isn't showing up. And so you're not getting the cross communication between dimensions. So that's why I stress keeping it basic. And the more that you actually use the same symbols, you build them up in the astral plane. They literally get stronger, more powerful, more real. They become greater vessels. So beginner's luck gets replaced with consistency, and it just works. Something you can rely on. It will always work for you when you stick with a few basic symbols. So be as elaborate as you want, but have something consistent. Like maybe for you, it's a doorknob, and that you have a magical doorknob. Because I have one. I'm using it as a reference. I went to an antique store. I bought an antique doorknob. And I'm like, you know what? I could use this to create a door and open it up anytime I feel stuck. I can also use it to close a door and lock it. So if I need to open things and close things, I have this antique doorknob. So you could have a key, whatever it is. You could have a sword. You could. Today I was working with imaginary crayons. So uh, you could be very consistent. You know, you could always be using your magical crayons to get you out of a jam, to literally write initials, letters, and symbols to the beings that you're connecting with. You can use, so you can color code it. So you see how art, creativity, imagination is the building blocks of magic, period. Like, you don't need to make it so you have a willpower and you have your genius creativity. That's all you need to do anything and everything you want. You're limitless. The artist is only limited by their own creativity, not the tools, which like was one of my favorite quotes. Every creation is a co-creation. Whether you realize it or not, there is a part of your inner genius, your super consciousness, your godhood, your whatever it is, that spiritual force. It's always connected to you, sending you signals. We just have a tendency to say, I want to do it. I want to create. I want to learn to cook. So you're like a little kid in the kitchen, but mom is actually providing you with all the tools, all the resources. You're actually using her bowls, measuring cups, teaspoons. You know, mom and dad have financed everything that you're doing in the kitchen, you know, and we tend to forget that our higher consciousness, a greater part of ourselves, is. So we make the cookies, you know, probably takes a few years to really understand the art of cooking. So we didn't do that great of a job, but we got something that looked like a cookie. And how many horrible cookies have we eaten over the years? And, you know, but eventually you get really good at it. And also, eventually it dawns on you, wait a minute, my mom and dad have bought and paid for all the food. This is their resources. Wait a minute, there were other processes kind of behind the scenes making this happen. It wasn't just me going into the kitchen, grabbing the cookbook, deciding what I wanted to do, pulling the resources that were there. There was all these other things. They went to work for how many years? They save their money, they pay their bills, they go grocery shopping every week. Mom already anticipated weeks in advance that we're going to need these ingredients for the weekend and holidays to make these treats. Okay? That's like what your higher mind is doing, or what a lot of people will say the subconscious and whatever. Uh there's That's why it's always a co-creation. That's why it's a little bit ignorant to put all that responsibility on you, you know, and then also not credit some of the creation to that greater portion of you that you're not aware of. You know, our parents cater to us as kids. We have a lot of high expectations from them. But then there's also a point where we realize we don't know our parents very well. And sometimes there's a point where our parents say, we don't know you very well. So it's almost like there's many phases of the relationship dynamics between your parents and you. Same with your greater mind in you. That's what I'm saying. So, and you know what? There will be a day where you get to cook for your parents and they're going to actually enjoy what you eat. And it's going to be very fun for them too. And they're going to get back all that they invested in you. They're going to also start getting it back and they'll be able to put in a request. So that happened to me. So I use cooking as an example for my own life. I started cooking when I was like really little, like in kindergarten, just exploring and experimenting and making stuff. And then I don't think I actually got good at cooking till like junior high. And at that point, my parents were like, you need to start cooking for us. And then, you know, so I'm telling you kind of what I realized. And Then it was a gift. Then I saw making dinner once a week for my family. We had a large family. Uh, I saw that as the give back. I'm going to give back. And then I started seeing things as a we. They'd be like, "Can we have some of your pizza?" And I'm like, "It's not my pizza. Dad financed it. Mom went and bought it. I'm just mixing it together and giving it back to you guys. It's all of ours. Don't ever say what I cook is mine. It's all of ours." Like, you know, so same with your journey, same with your magical practices, same with your personal evolution. There are a lot of uh, investors in you that are investing in you from like behind the scenes. Uh, you might feel their presence engage with you. Uh, they might come into the kitchen and say and help you fix the recipe. You're putting salt in instead of sugar, or you're not putting in the right amount. So when things start changing in your process, in your journey, in your meditation, in your visualizations, uh, allow it. They're helping you. You don't need to be the driver. Sometimes it's good to have them take the wheel and get you back on course, then let you drive again. So recognize this continuous higher mind assistance. You will get to where you want to go a lot faster and easier. And it's a win win. You know, they want you to develop the eyes to see. They would love for you to see them. They would love for you to sense them. They would love for you to realize you're not doing anything on your own and you don't have to. That is part of integration. That is kind of what the journey is about. It's that everybody wins. You delight when your kids succeed at something that you helped them with for years. You see the payoff in their joy. Okay? And you you experience the payoff in your joy. So these creations are all co-creations, and the whole point is joy, exploration, growth, development, new levels. Each step can be exhilarating. you know that I'm just sharing my perspective on all this and how magic is for me, the spiritual journey. So